The Flames let one slip away against the Bruins, and who should be up next for a contract with Brayden Pachal now locked up? Hey everyone, welcome into Hot Topics. This episode brought to you by ProStars Plumbing and Heating, Calgary's first choice when it comes to plumbing and heating. Rob Wong joined alongside by Postmedia Calgary Flames writer Wes Gilbertson. And Wes, a tough one for the Flames on Tuesday as the Bruins erase a 2-goal deficit and win it in overtime 4-3. What were your biggest takeaways from the game?
You know, it sort of felt like the reverse of a Flames story I would have written earlier this season, right? We talked so much about the sort of sluggish starts this team had earlier in the fall. Well, last night, Ryan Lomberg called their first period one of the best that they've played the entire season, one of the best periods, that is, not just best opening periods. And then they let the Bruins back in, and that's what we kind of watched this Flames team do earlier in the year is, multi-goal comebacks or, down by one after 40 minutes and kind of claw their way back into it. Well, they got a bit of a taste of their own medicine last night. And if it wasn't for Dustin Wolf, I'm not sure the game even gets to overtime. I think, driving away from the arena last night, I always sort of joke with Danny Austin, my Postmedia colleague, like, sometimes you just lose 4-3 on a Tuesday. And there's maybe not like a big picture takeaway, we have to be worried about this, or, this continues to bite us in the butt. It's kind of one of those nights for the Flames. They played a Bruins hockey team that is certainly showing signs of life after a coaching change. And, they got the script turned around on them. And I guess it happens sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's a tough one for the Flames, but they still come away with a point, so you got to be happy with that regard. Meanwhile, prior to the game, the Flames announced that they signed defenseman Brayden Pachal to a 2-year contract extension, and this is a guy that was a waiver claim a year ago, but he has obviously found a spot in this lineup. Wes, what did you make of the contract extension?
Yeah, really, a really nice story, a nice bit of business, I think, for the Flames. Big celebratory meal coming up at Blackbeard's in Estevan, Saskatchewan sometime soon. Brayden Pachal is one of those sort of glue guys that you probably don't maybe notice on a nightly basis, but what he's brought to the Flames back end since being claimed off waivers last February from the Golden Knights is just some physicality. Like, he plays with an edge. He's not necessarily an imposing presence in terms of his size. Like, he's not a behemoth, but he throws his weight around. He's one of those guys that is hard to play against. He's not a whole lot of fun to go up against. And I think the greatest compliment, like, how often, Rob, do we talk about third pairing defensemen that haven't been healthy scratched one time this season? That's usually where you kind of pick and choose a guy to take a seat every once in a while, and credit to Brayden Pachal because of sort of that unique trait he brings, because he plays with more snarl than those other third pairing candidates. He's a guy that Ryan Huska doesn't want to take out of his lineup. And, on a fairly, low contract still, like the cap hit is 1.1875. And so this is a guy, locked up for 2 more years. He's not a cap cruncher by any stretch. He's not necessarily blocking the young guys. If a Hunter Brustevich or a Zane Perek is ready, Brayden Pachal is a totally different type of player. And so it feels to me like a savvy signing for the Flames.
Yeah, absolutely. And we know how valuable right-handed shot defensemen can be in the NHL. So like you said, a nice cap hit for Brayden Pachal. So if we're looking beyond him now with him in the mix, who else do you think on the horizon here could be looking for a new contract that Calgary might be interested in signing?
Well, there's 2 sort of obvious extension candidates in the room for me, and those right now are Connor Zary and Kevin Paul. And both are RFAs at the end of this season, and so there's not a rush to get them signed, but if we happen to have Craig Conroy's to-do list in front of us, I think those would be the 2 names on it. Now, they're a little trickier than the Pachal extension. Like, we're talking about longer term and higher dollar value, as is always the case with a young forward coming, or a young player period coming out of his entry level deal. Connor Zary might not be his entry level, but coming out of his first sort of deal where he's been an NHL factor. Connor Zary, you can either go with a bridge, or you can try and lock him up long term. And for a guy with some serious offensive potential. I think that's going to be quite a negotiation just to figure out, okay, well, how long are we going to go? When are we going to take another look at the dollar value? And then Kevin Ball's been a bit of a revelation for the Flames as another kind of stay-at-home, steady defenseman. And I know that's a guy that they'd like to get locked up to a significant term as well. And so those would be the two that really jump out to me as the next priorities.
Yeah, a couple of guys definitely of interest for sure. We'll see what Craig Conroy has up his sleeve. As always, leave your thoughts in the comments section below. For Wes Gilbertson, I'm Rob Wong. Thanks for watching, and we'll talk to you next time.